Alright, you ready to get this done, buddy? Let's do it. I'm gonna go bring it over.
Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. Dakota here with Empty Wallet Outdoors. As you can tell by the title, I have a bear head in front of me. This was given to me by a buddy that went up to Canada, and he brought this down. He got it caped out so he can get a rug made, and I'll be doing the skull mount for him. So this is how it's going to go. So as you can see here, there's a ton of meat, ton of muscle on this head. I think by the time I was done, I had about 1.5 pounds of muscle just off the head right here. Just crazy amount of meat in where the jaws are at and everything, which I guess is where they get a lot of their power for their bite and everything else from. So it was really crazy to see how small this head got the more and more I cut off, and how much muscle was actually just packed into that jaw. So it's crazy that that's how it's built for them to get that biting power. And then, as you see here, if you've seen any of my other skull mount videos, I just take that fillet knife to follow that bone along nice and smooth. I just went through and cut around the inside of the bottom jaw, try and get that tongue peeled out. It still is a little frozen at this point, but I just keep working it around and just keep freeing up all that meat and everything. Remember, try to get it as clean as you can before it even sees the pot for the first time. It'll save you a lot of time and effort. And then once you get all that stuff worked out and worked free, I just start trying to pull as much as I can off. And a lot of this is just throat and like the esophagus and connecting tissues and stuff. There's usually not a lot of bone up underneath this area, so once you get to the back of the skull is really where that bone plate comes down. But pretty much everything from the inside bottom jaw area all the way through to the back end of the skull, it's all just tongue and connective tissues and muscles and stuff. And then right here, I'm just sticking that fillet knife down in between the jaw plates to try and get some of that tissue separated so I can peel that muscle apart. And if you haven't noticed in the background, yes, those are my kids watching me and hanging out. Alright, and then here I got most of the big tissue and all the connective stuff that I could get off with the knife. I rinsed my hands off. I realized that I way overfilled the pot there. I put some tie wire around the handle of the pressure washer just to keep it filled up, and I way overfilled it. So I'm going to dump some out here and then knock my propane tank over in the process because I can't ever just do anything the easy way. But that's besides the fact. So get all that set up, and then I go ahead and get it started here. Turn everything on. Just stick the lighter up under there and get her started. So that's going to start heating up while I start pressure washing, and we're going to go ahead and start getting this skull cleaned up. So a method here that I'm using is I'm kind of just tracing the outline of the skull, instead of trying to cut through the middle of something. I've noticed that if you can get the water pressure high enough and you can get the angle right, you can just kind of just cut off things like slice by slice, almost like you're, I don't know, slicing a box of cheese or something for lunch meat or something, just kind of getting those thin slices off little by little instead of trying to peel those big chunks right off the bone. So if you can just cut that meat off little by little with that pressure washer, a lot of times it'll get down to where the meat on the bone is, and then it'll peel off pretty easy. All right, so at this point I have all of it pressure washed as much as I can before it goes into the pot. Pretty comfortable with just the fatty ligaments being on there. That stuff will cook down pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop this in the pot, and then on the next scene you'll see how quick it got dark. I think I only left it in for 20 or 30 minutes before I went back out there, and it was like pitch black out. So here we are again. You can see some of that fat rose to the top. A lot of that stuff started to cook off. Like I said, it had only been 20, 30 minutes, and this is how dark it got. So I had to go get a headlamp and a lantern just to give you guys some light so you can continue seeing. But yeah, so just pulled it out of the pot. I'm going to sit here and pressure wash it again and just get it all nice and cleaned up and get ready to whiten. Alright, so a lot of this fat and ligament and stuff, it was just really holding on to the bone, so I ended up putting it back in the pot for a little bit. Just tried to make my adjustments and get some clean area for the water to drop it down into. But I did run it through a second round in the pot, and then when I pull it out here in a minute, it was able to clean up a lot better. Alright, so here we got it out of the pot again. You can tell from what you can see that it cleaned up pretty good. There's not any meat or ligaments left on the bone. But like I said, I ran out of light so fast, so sorry that the image and the quality is not the best. You can't even hardly see anything, but it was dark and I was just trying to get it done real quick. Alright, so now we are ready for the whitening phase. I got my little table set up here with the plastic wrap roll and gonna make a little crisscross with it just to help wrap everything up nice and tight once it's all on there and ready to go. Alright, so again, got the volume 40 from Salon Care, and then I will be adding the Quick Blue, Quick Strike bleach powder. I think it's Quick Blue. But yeah, and here's some other heads that I've been doing. Got a couple bucks for these guys going home in a couple days. But I got that bleach powder now, and we're just going to go ahead and add some and just get that mixture right. Like I said, I don't know the ratio. I just kind of add some until it's a good thick paste, so it's not gloopy and drooping down. And this is what it looks like before it gets whitened. So this is how it came out fresh out of the pot. I let it dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and start putting this whitening stuff on. And you can kind of tell too if you think you have your paste mixture right. Once you start laying it on the bone and laying it on the skull and everything, you can tell if it's runny or if it's good. Sometimes whenever you put like a glob like that on and spread it out and it spreads out super thin, sometimes it's a little too runny. Just add some bleach powder back into it to thicken it up some. So I got about here before I noticed that, one, I was going to need more, and two, the mixture wasn't quite right. So I added a little bit of volume 40 back, and then I added a lot more bleach powder just to thicken it up and give it a good, like a good paste consistency. You can see a deer in the kiddie pool there. That's where I put everything so I can put it in our cart and dispose of it back in our woods. But yeah, I just mixed up the ratio again. And then got it nice and thick this time so that way I could actually lay it on. And I'll just make sure all the cracks and crevices and the little holes are filled up. And then I will go ahead and wrap this up and we'll let it sit for a week and unwrap it, and I'll show you guys the result for that. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get started on the bottom jaw here. This is honestly a very easy skull and head to do. It's just it's a lot thicker than a deer skull or a coyote skull. It doesn't flex and it doesn't feel like it would break as easy either. So it's just a nice stiff piece of bone. I can actually pressure wash the crap out of it, make sure it's nice and clean, and just holding it and moving it around to get it whitened and everything. It was a fun project for sure. So we're gonna go ahead and get this covered up. We'll get it wrapped up, and then we'll show you guys the final result.
Alright guys, this is how it turned out. Here's what the skull looks like from the front. Open up the teeth. This is a bear head. So I usually don't do an unwrapping part of the film just because it's still wet. It still has a little bit of a yellowish tint. This actually looked pretty yellow to the point where I thought I was going to have to re-whiten it until it dried out overnight. So it looks good now. It's ready to go home. Congratulations to Jerry on your bear. Thanks for watching, everybody.